these cards. I really like the theming, and it kind of matches that awesome trailer that they put out for it.
I didn't even see that there was like anything going on today for the Magic reveal. So I was like, when you posted a new Gitrog, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, a bunch of new stuff came out. They revealed the 4 commanders for the commander decks that are gonna come out for this. Weirdly enough, Olivia's on this plane now. Somehow. I don't know how that happened.
I mean, they have to be an Innistrad, is really what it comes down to, because I'm like...
So this takes place in Innistrad?
I mean, that's where the Gitrog monster is.
Oh.
And he's not a planeswalker. But they're doing like a Wild West theme?
In Innistrad?
That's why it's fucking weird to me, because it's just like, the set's literally called Outlaws of the Thunder Junction, but I said they're going just like, am I crazy to think, or did Gitrog get like displaced in the multiverse or something like that, or are we back in Innistrad? The fact that like Olivia is here, but then like Magda and Oko are here, it's like, what the fuck? Also, there's a new Oko. Oh boy, if it's anything like the last one, he's gonna be broken as shit.
It's just so bizarre to think about this like dark like vampire realm where like angels and demons are duking it out, and now there's just like a Wild West section that's also there.
Yeah. At the beginning of your combat turn, Oko, the ringleader, becomes a copy of up to one target creature you control into end step, except it has hexproof. What? So wait, does he still retain like his planeswalker abilities then?
I guess.
How does that work? Like, can you just what the fuck? Oh, at the beginning. Okay, so the beginning of your combat turn, so you can do his ability, then he becomes that. But well, that seems broken as shit. I'm gonna be honest with you. Looking at this card, this feels broken as all hell.
Magic just loves making cards like that, though.
It just seems like the original Oko from Throne of Eldraine was broken. Now I'm looking at this one. I'm like, this fucking card looks fucking broken too. I guess that's just the theme, huh? Oh. I saw there was a new. I saw there was there was like this new Jace or whatever. Jace Reawakened. It's like 2 blue, but you can't play anything on your. It says you can't cast spells during your first, second, or third turn of the game. He costs 2 mana to play, so you play him. It's probably on turn 2, so basically it says you can't cast spells on your next turn. Then what?
Maybe here's what I'm thinking. Maybe part of it's. Maybe it's like you're not allowed to cast this card during your first like 4 turns, or any cards during your first 4 turns. If you want to,
I read it. I read it as this: as long as this card is on the field, you cannot cast spells during your first or second or third turn of the game. It's not saying the first, second, or third turn since you played this card is the first, second, and third of the game, which means that as long as you're not within the first 3, you cannot. You're good to play. So you can just play. So turn 4, you could drop this down as a 2 mana planeswalker, and then there's no repercussions for doing so, as far as I can tell. Like the wording is either so bad, or that's how it's supposed to work out. I don't know.
That's bizarre.
It's weird. Also, the Jace is not that great, as usual with Jace cards.
I mean, he had one really great.
Mind Sculptor
card. He had the one, and all of them since have just been like super mediocre.
I'll be honest with you though, Mind Sculptor needs the right deck for it to work. Like it's
very true.
It's inherently a strong card, yes, because of the ulti, but its other abilities suck. Unless put within the right deck.
I mean, at least it's not like Chandra, where basically all of her planeswalkers have been mediocre at best.
Yeah. And then there's like, they're sitting there looking at like Nissas or whatever who've like been at least 50% playable or something like that. And probably more than that, honestly.
You know what's really disappointing to me is I'm looking at all these card previews, and it's a Wild West theme, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm seeing like cowboy hats and stuff. I haven't seen a single horse card in any of these.
Dude, right? Like, there's not a single fucking horse.
In the Wild West?
Come on, bro. Like, I see plenty of cowboy hats. I mean, I see people riding on horses or whatever. There's the Great Train Heist, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, but no like dedicated horses. Like, you have the mount mechanic. Put some horses in there.
Yeah, get some saddles in there, you know?
I mean, they even have a unicorn, just no horse.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Don't worry, there's a card called High Noon, though.
Wait, is there actually?
Each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. For 4 mana, sacrifice it, deals 5 damage to any target. It's a 2-mana enchantment.
That's fun. That's kind of fun, actually.
I mean, the flavor is there, but I'm just sitting there going, granted, like, forcing each player to, you can't cast more than one spell each turn, that could be really good.
It could be really good. And like you said, the flavor is there. Oh, yeah. I like the card art for that, too.
Yeah.
We should probably do an intro, right? Or do you just want to keep talking about Magic?
Hello, and welcome to another episode of It Never Ends, or I guess the Magic the Gathering portion of this podcast. Ooh, I just saw the full art lands, and they look nice.
Yeah. I mean, the full art lands always look nice.
I know, but like sometimes they look extra nice, and I like the forest one specifically.
Yeah.
But that's also because I'm a green player. Anyway, I'm Andrew. Over there is my good buddy Alex. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Ooh, I like that new Tempor orb. Or Torpor orb, or whatever it's called.
Sure.
It looks nice. Shut up.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it was so weird. It's like I was so into like the Universe Beyond with like Lord of the Rings. I mean, I feel like a lot of people were, but like the Fallout set just did not interest me whatsoever.
I mean, I think it is. I was thinking about this recently too. I can understand from our perspective. It's like none of us are like really big Fallout fans, so obviously we're not going to care much. There are a bunch of people that I'm sure are actually pretty hyped about.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when you consider that it seems like the biggest game that they're taking away from this in terms of like these like specific decks is Fallout New Vegas, especially with things like Caesar and like Mothman, even has the Master in there. So there's a lot. There's a lot to like. I sort of like Fallout, and I just don't think it's like our thing really.
I also just wasn't overly enthralled with a lot of the cards of the set. Like, yeah, they're interesting, but a lot of them are just kind of like whatever. I don't really give a shit.
I mean, I feel like that's going to be the case with a lot of the Universes Beyond, though. It's like if you go back to the last one before this was Doctor Who, right?
Yes.
I feel like a few of those cards were interesting. I don't think any of them were like game changing in any way, though.
No, but I think that at least some of those cards enhanced like current decks or whatever. And like where it's like with like Fallout, it's just kind of like you build on the mechanics that were put there with the rads or whatever, and then there's a few just like reprints. Like there's like Lightning Greaves or a couple like cool Soul Rings or whatever. It's like I see a Skull Clamp or whatever, and I'm just like, I mean, sure. But other than that, I was like, like at least like some of like the more like specific ones, like cards made specifically for the set or whatever, that weren't just like reprints of like old cards, felt, I don't know, useful in other decks.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but partially it's just like I haven't looked into this set a ton.
Yeah, I think it looks. I think it looks fine.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm talking some mad shit about it, but I'm sitting here going just like I'm looking at these. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And I think you're absolutely right too. It's like if we were more into Fallout games or whatever, I think we would have been more interested.
Yeah, I think we're definitely getting into the phase with Universes Beyond. Like obviously, if you go back and look at the Warhammer set and Lord of the Rings, which I think were the first two like Universes Beyond sets, there were some pretty crazy cards in there, like the One Ring especially, and a lot of the cards in like in the Warhammer sets, they were like crazy good to the point where like everybody needed them, and a lot of those cards just
they became staples in some of the cards.
And I think What is my fucking issue today, dude? Jesus Christ. I think their main goal with these sets was to just be kind of a niche for like fans of these franchises to kind of get them introduced into Magic. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure they meant a lot of those cards that became staples to really become staples. So I think they kind of toned down with the Fallout and Doctor Who sets, where they're like, oh, they're still good, but they're not, incredible.
It's also like you have to make that like middle ground where it's like the cards can't be completely trash, that like you wouldn't want like normal like Magic players to not use them or not be interested in them, but also at the same time you don't want to make them too overly powerful.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that tough middle ground, and a lot of times with like in any card game, not just Magic or whatever, balancing that it can be difficult, especially in a game like Magic that has so many cards. And yeah, it's hard to like find additions to some people's decks or whatever, because it's just like these are like the 99 other best cards that go with this commander. It's going to be hard to cut one. So I don't know. Yeah, I'll be, because is Assassin's Creed after this, or is it Final Fantasy VIII?
I think Assassin's Creed is first. I'll have to look up.
I'm pretty sure Assassin's Creed was next.
Fallout. There's going to be a Jurassic Park one, apparently.
So that one was in the what was it called? It wasn't a Universe Beyond necessarily. Well, but it was kind of like one of those ones that was mixed in with the last set. What was that one called? I forgot what it was called.
Lost Caverns of Ixalan. I remember those, but that's all that was.
I'm pretty sure that's all it was, where you could get some of the dinosaur cards in there, but I'm not 100% on that one.
That's kind of disappointing. But
yeah,
it seems like the next big ones are going to be Assassin's Creed and Final Fantasy. I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah, I doubt they have like all the information about there, but
yeah. I mean, I think given the time frames, those should both hopefully launch this year.
I mean, I think that's what anticipating, but I just can't remember which one was first, whether it was Assassin's Creed or Final Fantasy.
I think it's going to be Assassin's Creed, but I can't really tell.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure as well.
I mean, like we both said, they're both going to launch this year, and they both look at. They're probably going to both be at least decent. For the Assassin's Creed set, mark my words, there's going to be a mechanic called Assassination.
I mean, there better fucking be.
Yeah. What's going to be the gimmick that they create for the Final Fantasy set?
Parry? I don't know.
Parry?
I don't know. Like you're fighting or whatever, or maybe like stealth or something?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll bring back Shadow. I don't know. All I know is the next mechanic of kicker should kick in.
Can we please get a Universes Beyond for Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog?
I'm sure they're working on that right now. Maybe they're waiting until after the third movie comes out so they can get Shadow the Hedgehog in there.
Oh, dude. Who would the four commander? Like the commanders would have to be
Sonic,
like,
Tails, Knuckles, and Shadow.
No Eggman in there though.
That's true. We gotta have Eggman.
In there somewhere.
You're right. Maybe it's Sonic. Maybe they have a partner like commander, like they did with like Sam and Frodo. So they'd have like Sonic and Tails, and then or you could have like Knuckles. a Shadow and Egghead. Like combo? Ooh, all right. I'm
you mean
Eggman? Yeah. What did I say? Egghead?
You said Egghead.
Got one piece on the mind, I guess. Look, they're all. It's eggs, you know.
I get you.
It's close enough.
Oh, I completely forgot. They also did a. I mean, even before Universes Beyond, Magic was doing kind of collabs. Kind of like this, because they did the Dungeons and Dragons set and
yeah, they did do that.
Godzilla.
Yeah, that's kind of what the Jurassic Park one ended up being.
Dude, I kind of hate to say it, but as much as I love like normal Magic the Gathering, I think the thing that's really I think these Universes Beyond sets are what's really keeping me like interested and engaged. It's like, especially with the number of different card games that we've been trying out recently, I think I'd be just completely dejected to Magic if the Fallout set wasn't coming out. That'd be you know what? That's actually not true. I like the whole Wild West theme of the Outlaws set.
I know what you mean, and I sort of agree with you with that sentiment you just said, though.
Yeah.
Is that, like, a lot of these sets are just feel like utter gimmicks. Like I mean, like, even the new one they just announced, the Outlaws of Thunder Junction, it just feels like a gimmick. And it's like, oh, it's cool, and the aesthetic is pleasing or whatever. But it's like, I sit here going just like, I don't know, I'm looking at a lot of these cards, I'm like, they're not interesting to me. Unless there's one I'm missing or something. I mean, obviously the whole set isn't revealed yet, but usually they start with the big heavy hitters, like all the mythics and legendaries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem interesting. I don't know. It's like, before it was like Magic, like your whole thing was like, try and convince me to build like a commander deck around this, like this creature or whatever. And I haven't felt that way in a while. Last one I was interested in, and I kind of still am, is like what was this going? Wilds of Eldraine, I think is what I think the set was called. It was the Rowan Scion of War.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's I've seen some nasty things that card can do.
I've also think, like, obviously we're going to come back to it.
Yeah, it's just like it's hitting a set where it's hitting a point where it's just like, the cards aren't really that interesting right now, and so I'm just like, I'm kind of good to just kind of do whatever.
It's kind of that time in our friend group where we've been playing Magic for the longest time, just years and years and years. We'd be playing it like basically every single week, and we've been trying to get into some new stuff recently, and that's okay to take breaks like that. Yeah. I feel like it keeps things interesting.
Speaking of new sets or whatever, Flesh and Blood just announced their next set or whatever not that long ago. Yeah, which isn't going to be out until May, unfortunately. But I got an email about it today. It was like they announced like 3 new heroes or something like that. And I was like, ooh, it's interesting. So I looked it up real fast, and I was like,
is it the heavy hitters set, or are you talking about?
It's not heavy hitters. It's not on TCG right now, but they announced it. Basically, it's called the part of Mistvale. So
part
there's
of Mistvale?
Yeah, it's like part the Mistvale. So it's like they're like mystic heroes or whatever, and they have like this weird like blue energy. I don't know what that's about. So that'll be interesting. Okay. I'll be interested to know what that's all about, but it seems pretty interesting because they have specifically for some heroes, they have like the red symbol is usually like the energy, but these like mystic heroes have like this weird blue energy I've never seen before. So I'm curious as what that is all about. Assassin, illusionist, and a ninja.
Ooh, the assassin sounds interesting.
Yeah, the assassins, I was like, a lot of the cards for the assassins are always so fucking expensive. And they're also really fucking good, but it's like, god damn.
You want to talk about Avatar again?
Do we? How about instead we talk about the launch of Dragon's Dogma 2 and how like despite it being really hyped up or whatever, it fell pretty short as per usual with a lot of AAA games.
Yeah.
My only problem with is like I know that it'll probably make a comeback, and it's probably already doing so as right now. But the fact is, it launched with just a whole slew of technical issues and everything like that. Nothing uncommon for AAA games nowadays. But it's like,
but true, yeah.
But the thing that pisses me off the most about that was the like microtransactions along with the game.
That's the big thing that got me. I was actually really excited for Dragon's Dogma 2, but when I just saw the sheer number of microtransactions that you pitched into the game,
the sheer number, and then my number one complaint I think of all of them is that what was it, a week or two before the game actually launched, the director said it's just like, oh, fast travel takes you out of the immersion of the game or whatever, and yet there's literally a $4 DLC that adds fast travel, and it's like, oh, you couldn't just put that in the game and decided whether or not people were going to let you?
It doesn't add fast travel. It allows you to fast travel.
Yeah. It gives you
every
access
time you
to
want
do
to
it.
so you need to spend like $1 to $3 every single time you want to fast travel. It's like, if you really believe that, you wouldn't have just wouldn't have put it in the game. You would have just kept it out, being like, yeah, this is the game design decision, and I'm standing by it. Instead, you're charging people for it.
Yeah. And it's like, man, it's just like, really now, come on. That was the thing that pissed me off probably the most. It was just like that doesn't sit right with me.
And like you said, it's disappointing because here the game is actually really good.
Yeah, it's all I ever hear about people talking about how Dragon's Dogma, like the first game, was so good, and they were so excited for the second one.
It was good. It was so good.
Yeah.
And now this happened.
And I'm sure it's not a bad game. Last I mean, it launched with mostly negative reviews, mainly because of the microtransactions and poor performance. But I don't know. I assume it's probably good though.
It's a game I do intend on trying one of these days. It's just a lot of that stuff. Even if you can completely circumvent it, it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
And while there are some games like Spider-Man where you don't really need fast travel because it's like, why the hell would you want to do that? Maybe Dragon's Dogma 2 is the same way. There are some games that I've played, though, where it's like, if this game didn't have fast travel, I would have straight up fucking given up on it.
Dude, that was me in Skyrim. It's like, man, I don't want to fucking walk all the way over to I don't know, some super far away place or whatever. Oh, here, hop on this horse and pay like a little bit of gold. Cool.
Dude, a game that I had such high hopes for, but I think I've told you, it was a game called One Piece World Seeker. If that game did not have fast travel, I would have stopped playing after the first couple of hours. That sounds harsh, but the traversal in that game is so slow and so boring and so terrible for a character as fast and interesting and, 3D as Luffy. I don't know. That was a huge disappointment for that game, and if it didn't have fast travel, I would not have finished it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've seen video clips of Dragon's Dogma 2 where people are getting in all these interesting situations out in the open world, and it's like, if you didn't want to include fast travel and you feel like this is how players should experience this game, then just don't put it in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what I'm going to keep coming back to. It's just like, I don't think it's wrong for you as the director to say that, because obviously you would want players to experience the game how you would feel like that you would want to intend the game to be. But at the same time, I feel like that should be up to the player on whether or not they want to do that.
Yeah.
It's like
100%.
It's just like, well, we'll still put it in the game, but that doesn't mean you have to, do it. And I'm just like, okay, that's fine, but you should still probably put it into the game, and players can decide if they want to or not.
A kind of similar game to this perfect transition, Baldur's Gate 3. Did you hear that Larian is actually, for their next game, they're not going to make a D&D like?
Yeah, they're done, apparently, making Baldur's Gate.
Well, here's the thing. They didn't used to make Baldur's Gate. Before this, they were the developers of the Divinity games, which I hear were also amazing, and I also want to play someday. But what's weird about this is they've only ever really made like these D&D-esque kind of like top-down games before. I don't think they've ever made a game outside of that. I mean, they've been around since 2002, and that's the only genre they've ever worked on. I can kind of understand to want to branch out, but at the same time, why not stick to what you're good at? And they've gotten really fucking good at it.
Yeah. I guess it's just like where you want to take it, I guess. I don't know. I'm with you. I'm with you, though. It's like, usually it's like, oh, you do, and you kind of just stick with that. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Maybe you have someone brought a good idea to you, and you just say, well, let's roll with it.
I hope that's what's going on.
Hopefully.
Especially when you think of like these D&D-esque games, there's so few of them out there. Like aside from Baldur's Gate 3, you have the 2 Divinity games, which they also made, and the 2 Pillars of Eternity games. That's really kind of it.
Yeah, it really is.
So we've been putting it off for a few weeks now. We should probably talk about Akira Toriyama, right?
Well, yeah. Yeah, it has been a while, but yeah, we can definitely do that.
I feel like at the end of every podcast
we've done that
for the
like
last
twice
few
now,
weeks,
yeah.
where we were just like, oh yeah, we should have talked about that.
Yeah, that was sad. I was like, man. It's just like, man, Dragon Ball really just started everything, though. It really did. It's like, without Dragon Ball, a lot of animes would not be made. A lot of people would not be very interested in anime, I feel like, at this point.
Most of them wouldn't exist, I dare say.
Yeah, I dare say you're absolutely right on that, too. So, it's like... I was like, it always makes it was just like, man, I was like, when that news broke out, I was like, man, I should probably actually get around to watching Dragon Ball Z. Like I remember watching it as a kid, but obviously I didn't remember. And I watched like 30-some episodes of Z and watched all the original Dragon Ball not that long ago. Kind of over like COVID or whatever. I did that.
Here's the weird thing. When I was a kid, I actually watched most of the original Dragon Ball. I moved on to... I was going to move on to Dragon Ball Z, but... when there was this big like Dragon Ball Z marathon going on at TV, me and my family took a trip to Mexico, so I tried watching the first couple episodes in Spanish, and it just did not go well.
Yeah.
And I just never got around to getting back to it.
Yeah, I think it's also like, I don't know. For me, I was like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on in the story or whatever. I just heard like I just heard Goku screaming or whatever, and then he'd have like super long like golden hair or whatever, and I'm like, all right, now shit's getting real, bro.
Yeah.
and then you just watch the fight or whatever, but you don't really know what's going on, or at least I never did. So I couldn't tell you what the hell was even going on at all.
It's fucking sad though, because like, wasn't he also like only in his 60s when he died?
Yeah, I think what was he?
Some disease.
It was like 68 or whatever.
Like, I get that's still up there, but still, dude,
68's really not that old in the grand scheme of things.
No, not at all. It's just crazy to think whenever somebody. I wouldn't say of this. Like fame, but just of this caliber dies. It's like, what do you even say that can do justice to how big of a legend they were?
Yeah, it's hard. It really is, because it's just like, and it's like you can see it as like a lot of like, you know, current anime or manga creators or whatever. Or always like Oda is literally taking a 3-week break just to like, you know, figure out a few things about One Piece, but also, you know, grieve Akira Toriyama, because it's just like, I mean, One Piece is one of the quote unquote big 3 or whatever. So it's just like he probably drew a lot of inspiration for a lot of One Piece from Dragon Ball and like Akira Toriyama's work.
And it shows.
Yes,
it's like a lot of manga creators are doing that, but. Yeah, man, it's like the modern day equivalent of like Walt Disney dying. It's like you're one of the people that changed the landscape of not just animation, just of, you know, I don't want to say cinema, but like
just a medium that was like not really on the map at that point, but it was just like,
yeah,
it's just like it made it. Or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's really the best way to describe it. It's just like I mean, like we said, it's like 90. Oh, I would say close to 90% of all anime, or at least interest in anime, would probably not exist without Dragon Ball.
Absolutely.
It's like I don't think that's underselling it either. Like, I really don't.
No, absolutely not.
So yeah, it really just sucks, and you're at a loss for words or whatever, but. You know, everyone will always look at Dragon Ball and going like, yeah, this is the thing that really started it all. That's why it's like not That's why people always like. I remember having this discussion with a person that I was like trying to get into anime for a while, and he goes, yeah, I hear about this like Dragon Ball show all the time or whatever, and he's like, is that part of like this big three? And I'm like, no, that's in a completely different level, because without Dragon Ball, the big three would not have existed.
The big three exists. This is above the big three.
It really is. It's like the great grandfather of the big three. It's like, I was great before any of you were even a glitter of hope or an idea in your creators' minds. Yeah. Yeah, definitely after hearing that, I'm like, yeah, I should actually like get around to actually watching Dragon Ball Z again, at least.
Mm-hmm. I also feel, I will admit, I feel kind of bad right now, because it's like, for as big of, a thing as Dragon Ball is, it wasn't really a huge part of our lives, so I feel like we're not really doing justice to how
I feel like it's just
much
hard,
of
because
a powerhouse it was. I agree,
because like for us, it's like our main, like the main one, or especially the one I grew up with, was like One Piece and like Naruto and stuff like that. Yeah, because I feel like we were a little too young at the time when Dragon Ball was coming out. It's like I remember watching Dragon Ball on like early morning cartoons on like PBS or something like that. Mm-hmm. But again, I was too young to understand the story or anything about it, like the martial arts or anything like that. I was too young. I didn't understand it. So when I was actually at that age to kind of start understanding a story and understanding the plot of shows or whatever, One Piece caught my attention, and I was just like, and I loved it, or whatever. It was like, or Naruto or whatever. Like Toonami was a huge part of why, anime really, like, I really got interested in anime, because it's like staying up late on Saturday nights watching One Piece and Naruto, and then finding Bleach probably not long after that, or at least myself did. So it's just like, yeah. It's like for us, I feel like it's like the big three is like where we started or whatever, and then we kind of worked backwards. So I don't know. I think that's probably like the best way to describe it.
I agree.
It's just that we were just too young at the time. That's why I was like, I don't blame a lot of like anime and manga artists and creators or whatever taking some time just to like digest that and everything like that, and maybe just get a little checkup on your health, especially like. It's like, I'm pretty sure, isn't that what Oda's doing or whatever? He's like, he was like doing some health.
Yeah.
He said multiple things in like the most recent chapter. It was just like, one, he wanted to really truly process Akira Toriyama's death, but also he was just like, yeah, I'm also going to do this. I'm going to take this time to check up on my health to make sure everything's all good and everything like that. And then I think he also said is like, I really need to make sure I've really thought out the One Piece. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, wait. You're really making sure you thought out the One Piece? Does that mean we're going to see the One Piece soon? Like, or are you that far ahead?
No, well, he's always been that far ahead.
I know, but it's just like, I'm just sitting here going, just like, but the fact is, like, he's getting to the point where it's like, okay, now it might be the One Piece. I'm like, see, that's interesting. It's like, how many chapters is he ahead? I'm not sure. And no one will know that answer, but like, man, I'd be curious to know how many, like, from where we are right now, how many more chapters until like they arrive on Laugh Tale or like see the One Piece or something like that. I think that'd be interesting.
I think we're still a ways away. I think his whole thing is, in terms of, I think it just goes down to a lot of the work culture in Japan, where a lot of people who are really, really passionate about what they do, they'll usually drown themselves in their work and usually overwork themselves to a pretty unhealthy degree. The creator of Sakurai did that a lot with Super Smash Brothers, where he ended up getting quite a few health issues. He
worked himself to the bone.
I think that was the case with Akira Toriyama. I think that's also the case with a lot of these manga artists, where it's just like they're working day and night to get these chapters out. I think the big thing with what Oda is doing right now is he wants to make sure that the plan that he has in place is really what he wants to do, and that he's just not rushing towards the end, and he wants to make sure that the stuff that he has coming is good and stuff he can be proud of, while also taking better care of themselves. I think this is gonna be a big culture, just not even shock, but a big culture shift in hopefully Japan, where hopefully these people won't be working themselves to death anymore, because people do need to take breaks.
Yeah. I kind of feel like that just seems to be generally the landscape, not just not just with these anime creators, manga creators, or whatever, artists or whatever, but it just feels like with content creation in general, it's like 15, 20 years ago or whatever, it's basically you were working day and night to keep everything in content creation. But now we're getting to the point where I think a lot of people are understanding it's just taking breaks or whatever. It's I think it's partially why you're seeing some YouTubers kind of retire, because they had an unhealthy relationship with the content. So I think that it's kind of hitting the manga scene right now.
It's hitting a lot of different workplaces in general, like you said. It's going to be
it's going to be a hard transition for some people who are you log on to YouTube and you normally you'd see the next new video or whatever, and now it's just now it's not there or whatever. So now what do I do? So you got to entertain yourself sometimes, or find other content creators, because there are a lot of different ones now.
What is my fucking issue today, bro?
I don't know. But yeah, I think that's why, especially mainly because the only one I keep up to date on with manga is One Piece, and it's why we're seeing more breaks more than usual. I think, especially from the past, it's just just pace yourself. Don't go be going crazy with it. That's why it's people always speculate. It's oh, what's Oda gonna do after One Piece? I'm like, bro, the motherfucker's gonna retire.
I mean, he's in his upper 50s right now already. Yeah. He's almost as old as Toriyama was. So.
Unless he wants to go to writing short stories or something like that. I'm like, bro, he's going to call it a career. He was I was like, One Piece, that's my entire career. And it was amazing.
He doesn't need to do anything else. It's
exactly.
I fucking made One Piece.
I devoted over 30 years of my life to this thing. I think I remember seeing an article on that. It's oh, what's Oda gonna do after he's done with One Piece? I'm like, he's gonna retire, bro.
after he's not gonna do shit else.
Are you kidding me? I was
shit else.
At the rate it's going is which is fine. Again, remember, it's pace yourself, Oda, but and make sure everything it is what you want it to be and is well thought out and everything like that. But it's by the time he's done, I mean, I don't see One Piece ending anytime soon.
No, I think it still has another at least 3 to 5 years left in it,
if not more. But we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, depends on how much it ramps up in this last part here. But
I have heard rumors that we are in the last couple of arcs, though.
I mean, yeah,
is at least nearing the end.
I was didn't Oda say that this was the final saga or whatever, the final main, this is the final main overarching point or over arc?
Yeah, but when you consider how long his arcs take,
exactly. That's why I say it's this is the final arc, but how long will it take? Especially with everything that's going on in Egghead right now, and it's just it's interesting, but I'm just bro.
I will throw this out. I don't think Egghead is going to be the last one. I think they're going to have one more big one after that before they get to the last big arc.
Yeah, whether that's Elbath or wherever they're. I mean, I assume they're going to Elbath, considering that there's giants there. So. We'll see. That
being said, I still think it's going to end within the decade, in the next 10 years, maybe.
Yeah, I guess I kind of hope so. Man,
Well,
if it goes all the way to like 2030, I mean, maybe, but like,
no, I think it's gonna go past 2030. Honestly,
so you're thinking like 2032 or something like that?
I'm hoping it ends before 2040 is where I'm at.
Yeah,
He says he's near the end, but he's a nutcase, and I know he wants to do more.
You can't blame genius.
No, I can't. I'm just gonna let him do his thing, okay?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be here for every fucking moment of it, and I'm gonna love every moment of it. What is the classic meme where it's just like, "Oh, give me a reason to live," and you see like the One Piece to be continued, and I'm like, "Thank you." Yeah. Didn't the author of like Hunter x Hunter say there was going to be like that he was actually going to end Hunter x Hunter or whatever recently, but a single chapter hasn't been put out recently. I think Billy told me about that a while ago.
I haven't heard anything about that. No.
Only reason I saw that is because like people were talking about how I think he has a plan written up for like if he can actually finish it or not, then he wants to end this way. But he has notes written down for somebody else to pick it up should he die or like something happen to him.
Yeah, One Piece is the same way.
Yeah, so it'll end like a little differently if he's not around to actually finish it. I remember hearing some news about that like that he was planning on releasing more chapters of Hunter x Hunter, but like so far there hasn't been a single one. Hope he gets to finish it.
Yeah, I think he will.
Yeah. I was like, the anime was really good. I watched the anime.
Is the anime for Hunter x Hunter over already?
It is, but it doesn't cover the whole thing. It ends after the Chimera Ant arc. But there's more after that.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. Honestly, it's like going further. Yeah, you could definitely go further with it, but like... Mm-hmm. At the time, I think that was where it kind of cut off, and then I think that's where like a lot of like the a lot of health issues for the author arose, so they weren't sure if they were going to be able to continue it, and they didn't want to stop. Probably, I mean, obviously, I think they were really caught up in with the anime, and they didn't want to overdo the manga because we've seen multiple animes where they overdo it over that, and then whatever like the animation studio comes up with is usually not the greatest.
Since we're on the topic of anime, have you ever gotten around to watching Boruto yet?
I got like, what was it, like 40 episodes in or something like that? I mean, that's probably more than that.
I still to this day refuse to watch that anime, and that is probably also going to be the case. But I wanted to get an unbiased opinion, is what I should say, basically.
If I look at my Crunchyroll, it said I got up to episode 98 of Boruto. And basically my general review I give of it at that point was that it was very underwhelming. Because it's basically just like, they have like this whole mystery about it or whatever, and it's like obviously I'm probably missing plot points of it, but it's like at the same time it's like it just wasn't interesting. Like the characters themselves weren't very interesting. Like it's like the kids of the people that we knew and like from the original show, and then it's just like none of them seemed particularly interesting. Boruto's kind of a stuck-up asshole for a lot of it, who has no skill as a ninja and relies on, like, because they intertwine technology into it, which is just like, oh, really? I don't know. And it's just that, and it's like maybe I was getting to the point where it was a plot point. Like the coolest part of the whole thing was like there was this fight where Sasuke and Naruto were fighting against whatever the space people of Kaguya were, basically like that. Like they had a really cool fight there, and it was the best part about it. And then they had like Naruto and Sasuke had beaten them or whatever, and then it was just like, all right, Boruto, here's my giant Rasen Shuriken or whatever. Now throw it at him and be the hero, because you're the hero of this one, not me. And I'm trying to be a better dad because Naruto kind of sucked at being a dad because he was too busy being the Hokage, and Boruto hates him for it. So he's like trying to be a better father type thing, and it's just like not working. It comes across as more of just awkward and just like, I don't. Is this how you bond? Is this how you're really gonna bond with your kid?
Like all the comments that I've been hearing from its extremely rabid fan base has been nothing but unbridled praise. Is basically everyone is like, oh yeah, it's amazing, it's the best thing, it's not trash, it's better than One Piece. It's like,
see, now that there's almost no way.
No, I'm not trying to dunk on anybody. It feels like the impression that I get of Boruto is that it was a show that feels like it was made almost out of obligation rather than anyone really wanting to make it. And I base that purely off the fact that it's called Boruto.
Yeah.
It sounds like a fan fiction, dude.
I mean, yeah, like, you're not wrong.
It's like, really?
My whole thing about it is that why did we make a show focusing on the kids of like the Hidden Leaf or whatever? You could have
because you could have.
I understand that, but you could have easily gone on and kept going on with
Naruto.
No, with the Naruto in the main gang or whatever, or showing them as adults growing to be stronger and stronger. But I think because Naruto Shippuden ended with like Naruto becoming the Hokage just because of his like efforts in the Great Shinobi War, it's just kind of like, really? It's like, I feel like you just be a hero for that rather than like, Kakashi or who was the Hokage? Was that Tsunade? I forget who it was, but either way,
I think it's like Tsunade, yeah.
Whoever was the Hokage at the time just decided to step down or whatever, not because they felt like they were done, but at the same time it was just because Naruto was that big of a figure at the time. I don't know. It's like Naruto was great. Honestly, it's like for as much as at times it was kind of really shitty. Like there was definitely arcs where I was just like, why is this a thing? But at the same time, it's like the Great Shinobi War of the Naruto. Even I think honestly, all of Naruto Shippuden was like masterpiece.
I wouldn't say masterpiece, but it was
pretty good.
Really good, and it was a big upgrade from the original series, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what I'll say: the pain fight in when he like destroyed the Hidden Leaf Village.
That was still Shippuden. That wasn't.
That was Shippuden,
series.
but I'm saying that specific fight or whatever with like Naruto versus
so good,
Pain.
Yeah.
That was like a masterpiece right there.
I will also give the original series this: the Rock Lee and Gaara boss fight. That will never not be iconic.
Yeah, and then the classic. Hey, going back to inspiration from Dragon Ball. Literally, like Lee, grabbing his weights off of his leg and slamming them onto the ground, kind of like what Goku does with his vest. Saying, remember, heavy inspiration from Dragon Ball, man. It's yeah. It's like, but no, you're absolutely right though. That fight is legendary. It's like you're thinking, oh, there's no way Lee stands a chance against this like. I mean, clearly this guy's the strongest from the Hidden Sand or whatever. Like,
yeah,
and he's like Naruto's gonna fight him or whatever, and it's just like, no, actually, Lee is actually incredibly strong despite not being able to use ninjutsu.
And then he starts like moving at the speed of light and shit, and it's like, oh well, the sand guy's dead. That's the end of this fight.
Yeah, and then Kakashi leans over and it's like, bro, you taught him this. You taught him some of the 8 inner gates. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, you're a madman.
Oh man, this guy Sensei, despite not being his real dad, was the best dad in that series.
Just the best.
And now we're on to current Naruto, where it's like, dude, we need more. This series is so big. It's like you can't just stop. It's like, Well, the fuck else do you want me to do? Make a show about his kid. What's his kid's name?
Boruto?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Is there another Hinata? Sure, let's call her Himawari. Oh, by the way, let's have another Rock Lee, but let's call him Metal Lee.
Yeah.
It's like, to all Boruto fans, respectfully, that is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like that's some SpongeBob level shit.
Yeah.
And when you come to me and try to convince me that, oh no, this is really the best show, it's better than One Piece. Fuck out of here, bro. There's no way.
It's like, look, unless after episode 100 it gets a lot better, I was very not feeling it. And so I was just like, I don't know, maybe it gets better, but I'm looking at it and going, it doesn't look like it is. I'll say that much. It doesn't look like it is.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to I'm trying not to. Well, I am trying to bash
it's
the
like
show, but if you like the series, it's whatever. It's your thing. I'm not gonna ever judge somebody for enjoying Boruto, obviously, but
yeah, absolutely.
Just sharing my thoughts in general.
Yeah, I look at this and I was like I said, I gave it 100 episodes. I wasn't enthralled by it or whatever, so I'm sitting here going just like, but I'm sure for somebody it's like the best thing ever, and that's cool and all. I would just implore you to go, like, if you get to the end of Boruto and you go, this is great. I implore you, go back and watch the original Naruto. Go back and watch Naruto Shippuden or whatever, and it's like you're gonna find that might be a little better. Or yeah, just watch any anime, any different anime.
Believe me, it does get better than this. I promise you.
Yeah. Except don't watch Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. Now that's just bad.
No. Go watch Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds instead.
Dude, 5Ds was actually legitimately good.
It was.
It was so good. It's like gone, but it feels like especially like Yu-Gi-Oh! Hasn't had a good like anime. I mean, Frains wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't good. Like it started good and then got worse as it went on, and then it just went, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where my headset was. It was just like, all right, the first like little part, yeah, it's dark, and I was like, I can understand why it doesn't have like an English adaptation of it. But I'm sitting here going just like, it's not bad. I mean, like the characters are kind of interesting. Like Go is kind of cool or whatever, and I get you always have to have like the anime girl and like the Blue Angel or whatever. And so you sit there going just like, okay, this isn't like terrible or whatever. You have a really cool villain in Revolver, and I'm just like, hell yeah. And then it just kind of goes downhill from there. So,
dude, ever since 5Ds was over, basically every Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime after that was just so unhinged. And I feel like it's just getting progressively worse with each new one they come out with.
Yeah, it is. It's like 5Ds was, I would honestly say, is the last good one. Zexal was a trip.
Then what was the Link one? What was that one?
The Link one was Reigns. The Pendulum one was Arc 5 or Arc V or whatever, which was not good. I mean, Zexal wasn't good either. I'll but say that right now. It was very much like, what the flying fuck is this?
It's just really fun to make fun of Yuma, basically.
It really is.
Just because
he has like 3 catchphrases and all of them are memed to death. It's great.
He sucks, and it's fun to laugh at him.
Yeah. He's also the main one of the only main protagonist that loses more than he wins. Like in the show.
Good. Nobody likes him.
I just find it funny that like every like you look at like I remember watching it just because I was like bored or whatever, and I was like, oh, people like YouTube videos of like I was like I've figured out like by the numbers wise who had like the highest win rate of all Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime protagonists or whatever, and it's like well clearly it's Playmaker from Brains because he literally never lost.
Yeah.
Even though he definitely should have, like 3 times, if not 4 times over in the show. But because we can't have Playmaker lose. It's like, well, you could just have him lose like a duel that's not important. Like, obviously they're going to win the important ones, but
who is the ghost guy in Zexal? Isn't he like a ghost from the future, like from cyberspace or something?
No, it's from Astral World, which is from space.
Okay, so he is a ghost from outer space.
He's not really a ghost. Well, he is a ghost, but not a ghost at the same time. He's a spirit of this this like basically like this pharaoh from space. Which all of his memories are linked to the number cards, which is why the Xyz monsters exist, so that way he can reclaim all of his memories and stuff like that, and that's why he needs to collect all 100. Yet he doesn't collect all the 100 before he gets all of his memories back. There's a plot hole right there. Yep. I shit you not, that is absolutely 100% true.
He's a cyber ghost pharaoh from outer space.
Yep.
Whose fate is tied to a children's card game.
Yep.
That is the dumbest fucking thing ever. And I love it. Oh my god. I need to watch this show.
You really don't, though.
I kind of want to, though. It sounds like the fucking Room of anime.
I'll say this though. Despite these like Zexal and well, Arc 5 was just bad. There was no good villains in there. It was all bad.
Okay.
But Zexal had like a legitimately like good like I don't know Kaiba character in Kite. Like he was actually like really good and had like good motivations and everything like that and was actually a good duelist.
His name is Kite?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
He was the guy who had the blue the galaxy eyes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he had the Galaxy Eyes deck. Like he starts out as a bad guy because he's collecting all the number cards, and that's why Yuma wants, because that's how he's going to get Astral's memories back. Mm-hmm. But then he actually turns out to be a good guy because he got played by the actual bad guys. Because he wants to save his little brother. See why I call him the Kaiba character?
Yeah.
He even has a dragon that has 3,000 attack points and 2,500 defense points. That's overpowered for the like Xyz monsters because it's the Xyz killer.
You know, I will give the Yu-Gi-Oh animes this: they're never stale. For as like consistently okay as the Pokemon anime is. It's not as bizarre and interesting as Yu-Gi-Oh! Often is. Because, like, as bad as Zexal sounds, like, it sounds horrendous. And I'm sure it's bad. That's fucking interesting. You would never... If you went to someone on the street and asked them, what is this show about a children's card game about? They would never, in a million years, guess what we just described, basically.
No, not wrong. Not wrong.
Holy shit. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. So
I mean, you want the whole like backstory of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, because I have a general concept of what it is.
Oh please! I'm so interested at this point.
Okay, so basically, it's like the kid wants to duel in his like in the way he wants to duel. So he makes Rush Duel because that's cooler than normal dueling, because you draw a full hand every turn and you can play any number of monsters you want and whatever, and it's just like, and the duels are over by turn 2 or 3 or whatever. Like it usually goes like one round back and forth and then it's over, and that's dueling because he wants to have fun. But then you find out that it's just like the main card that he uses, I don't even remember what the damn thing was called, but it was like the Sevens Magician or whatever. because that's where the name comes from, the sevens.
Okay. And it's before we go on, isn't Yu-Gi-Oh's whole issue that it's over too quickly and there's no like decent back and forth?
Oh yeah.
Or am I just?
I mean,
at least they're acknowledging it.
I mean, that's what people currently complain about with the card game as of today, is like that you're basically playing solitaire with yourself and then go, oh well, there's nothing I can do about that. Scoop, and then it's over. So. But yeah, it's just like, oh, so he's gonna try and figure out how he becomes the king of duels or whatever. They don't call it the king games; they call it the king of duels. Okay? So to do that, you have to go into this code or whatever of this company that runs everything, because they're the man. They're telling you you can duel or whatever. And for some reason, even though it's in their own system, they can't delete the rush duels. And rush duels is getting so popular that they're concerned that they're going to lose stock prices and everything like that. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, what the hell is even happening? And then there's like this big story or whatever. But like he basically goes into it. He basically gets like I can't remember the guy's full fucking name or the main character's name. Doesn't matter. But like he gets trapped into like doing this like tournament or whatever, or like in this duel that's like broadcasted worldwide. And if he loses, rush duels will be eliminated completely. And then, oh no, we can't eliminate the rush duels because people love them so much. So I gotta do this. I gotta win. And so he does that. He plays the sevens magician, and then goes, oh, you can't play that card because it's an illegal card. What the fuck makes it illegal? Nobody could tell you. You would think that it's incredibly strong. It's not. It's just an illegal card because a former employee of the whatever Kaiba Corp became in this universe basically said, it's like, oh yeah, I want to have fun, and dueling is about having fun and being yourself, and so I made this card myself, and so it's not a legit like product, I guess, from them, so it's not like a legit card, but he plays it because he got it from the dude. And then it gets added to the thing because plot points and reasoning, and so he can't lose the duel. And that's about as far as I got.
What the fuck is happening?
I feel like I just went on a road trip in my brain and trying to explain that. Oh, and at some point, they really tried to make a waifu of an 8-year-old girl, and I was not okay with that. I think that was when I stopped watching, because I was just like, I don't feel comfortable with that. That's not something I should want to do.
I have a bad feeling that the Yu-Gi-Oh animes have kind of been doing that for a little while now.
Yeah, but it's like, it's one of hinting towards it and kind of never really acknowledging it or whatever. That was like, we're not just hinting to it, we're fully acknowledging it and we're condoning it and everything like that. And I was like, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah. People really shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
So, basically it
also doesn't help that these characters are the youngest of all like the main like Yu-Gi-Oh people. It's like,
yeah,
like the main group or whatever. It's like, yeah, they're always usually kind of like, they're what, high school. I mean, most of the time they're like high schoolers, right? Like, isn't that like the whole thing? Or like, yeah, like these are like legitimately like they're in 4th grade.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and Vrains was the Link one, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they were in community college, so I think they were the
yes.
I think they were the oldest ones.
Yes, they were the oldest ones. I don't remember if it was community college or like they were like in their last year of high school. One of the two.
Yeah. By the way, like this, like Sevens Magician, which is a stupid fucking name.
It's not a good name.
A lot of the magicians have had stupid names, like Gaga Magician. At least that magician had an okay design. It's like, this is obviously supposed to be their take on the Dark Magician or whatever. I'm looking at this picture. It's called Seven's Road Magician.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
what the fuck even am I looking at?
He says something really stupid when he summons it too. It's like I don't remember what it was, but it's like they always have to have that like the like signature. When I summon my best monster or whatever, I got to do that. I mean, a Kite had that in Zexal or whatever that gets memed or whatever because he throws a fucking like I don't know cross into the sky and he goes a monster more powerful than a supernova, and I'm going what?
Like, let's really appreciate just how shit this looks. Let's go back to the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime. It's like, obviously, like, the original Dark Magician was no masterpiece or whatever, but look at how simple and interesting and cool that design is compared to whatever this thing is.
It's like, it's trying too hard to be like an anime meets like a serious, like, fire magician? I don't know. He's got like a sword. I don't know. It's just, what the fuck is going on here?
Like the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime meets Steven Universe almost. It's just so bad looking.
Yeah, it's not great.
I mean, if anything, these new age Yu-Gi-Oh animes are making me appreciate the older ones more.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, back. I hate that we're doing this again this week, but back in my day, we had Yu-Gi-Oh, we had 5Ds, and we had GX, and all of those were fire.
Or you had all the shows that wanted to be Yu-Gi-Oh back then, where it was like you had like Bakugan and like
yeah.
What is it? Wasn't there like some other like card game focused one? I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
I swear to God there was, but I might be.
I think there was one, but it just never got any traction. Like, it was called Battle Masters or something.
Something like that. It was like they were trying so hard to be like Yu-Gi-Oh and everything, and I was just like, man. Yuga, that's the kid's name. This is why it's just like I feel like other card games are started to like creep in where that are just like weird. It's like,
yeah.
It's like you got the Disney like Lorcana stuff or whatever because Disney's trying to get in on like the card game scene or whatever, and I'm just like, what the fuck? It's like I feel like these are just like
just getting more money hungry. But.
Yeah, it's like I always just feel like it's like basically it's just like, but I feel like these are like treated by like as Pokemon, as like Pokemon fans do with the Pokemon cards, where it's just like they don't actually play the game, they just collect it for the art.
Which is weird because if you like look at the art for Lorcana, like I'm not trying to offend anybody, it's not very good.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the cards. I'm like, are these like? I was like, I look at some of these and I go, I feel like someone just like decided that like, hey, let's just have like AI make like cards or whatever. I'm just like, what?
I mean, it's not like they look It's not like they look terrible. It's like they all look fine, but. It's like when you look at like Pokemon and you really think about like how appealing those designs are and why people would want to collect all of them. It's like they all have these big, wild, and crazy designs that Lorcana just doesn't have. Yu-Gi-Oh! In general is, for as iconic of a card game as it is, it's just fallen off so hard.
Yeah, it really has. Like I feel like I don't hear a lot of people like go really talking about it much anymore.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we've discussed this on the podcast before, but the last time we really discussed Yu-Gi-Oh! Was when we were talking about how people are actually quitting the game more because cards are getting more and more expensive, and people don't want to spend, thousands of dollars just to get a meta deck anymore.
Well, there's also that, and then they're doing kind of like what Wizards is doing with like a lot of Magic cards, a lot of like the really like high expensive Magic cards or whatever, is that they're reprinting a lot of the cards, which is then ruining the rarity for like collectors, who paid a lot of money for these like really rare and expensive cards.
No, here's the thing. Yu-Gi-Oh! Players wish they were doing that.
Here's the thing: is that one set will come out, and then it will have that big expensive rare card that everyone chases for, and everything like that, and then they'll buy it all. And then what will happen is like 2 sets later, they'll reprint it, and then the price will shoot way down. But at the same time as well, there's more stuff being added that's even more broken than that. So it's this never-ending cycle. It seems like, at least that's generally like the synopsis I keep hearing about it.
I mean, still, that fucking sucks because it's like, yeah, these cards that were once meta are now like affordable and I can buy them, but at the exact same time, they're no good. So what use are they to me? It's like when they oh man, I feel like a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh's rarities basically kind of depend on the ban list that they have at the time. Because I remember when I spent all that money on that Zodiac deck, and like a couple weeks later, it was just worth nothing. At that point, I was like, I'm done with Yu-Gi-Oh! Fuck this. I'm not doing this shit anymore. That was my breaking point, I think.
I also feel like with Yu-Gi-Oh, it comes down to they're again. I think they're doing similar stuff for whatever with like rarities or whatever. There's like the Starlight rares, the Ghost rares, and stuff like that. So there's like different alternate versions of the cards that are like really hard to pull. And then so it's just like they're the ones that you want, but every other card is not really worth anything like whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Which just stinks. It's like it's not a good way to really do that. It's like, oh, a lot of people who want to collect the cards. I was like, I know for their 25th anniversary they did like reprint sets for like the original sets, like I think like Legend of Blue Eyes and a couple of the older sets like got reprints that are literally just like the old cards or whatever. Like nothing was changed about the set, nothing was added or anything like that. It's literally just the old cards but new printing of those cards.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, honestly, because it's just like, oh, you get to like, for anyone that missed out on like opening like LOB or whatever, it's like you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to get a box of it now. But like an unopened box, so you can, I think it's not that expensive to do so. I also think that with the 25th anniversary, they added a new like rarity or whatever. They call it like the anniversary collection or the 25th anniversary collector edition. So I don't know if that's the thing or not. I mean, yeah, it's like I'm looking at this. Jesus Christ, even still, $110 for 25th anniversary of Legend of Blue Eyes. Yikes! Just for the most expensive card to be a Blue Eyes White Dragon, that's only $32.
It's like every time I look back at Yu-Gi-Oh and think, oh, maybe I should, buy a deck, try playing a game with it. The latest one that I've looked at was I actually really like the character Yu-Bell. From GX.
GX, yeah.
They printed up some new Yu-Bell cards. It's like, oh, that's cool. It's like, it's $18 or $19 for a copy of a single card, even for a niche thing that no one's probably going to use. Great.
Yep.
I regret ever looking into this.
This is why a lot of people, and like why like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel or whatever has like kind of like still been pretty steadily a thing for a while. It's just like unless you really like it's so weird to say or whatever, but I think like a lot for Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like a lot of it's going online, which I think it's fine. It's just like, but for like, I mean, I guess game? Then what is the new, like, what is the cards necessarily for then? At that point, I guess for old fans or whatever that still like playing with the cards themselves. I mean, sure.
Yeah.
It's like I always worry that like Magic's getting to that point as well, where it's just like, oh, the MTG Arena is just going to take over, and I go, I think we're pretty far off from that, considering that with the different formats and everything.
I think for Magic especially, I think that's still going to go strong for quite a while. With it does. I think the big thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that a lot of the card prices for basically anything that's even somewhat desirable are just insane.
Yeah.
Magic doesn't really have that issue. At least not to the same degree. The thing is, with Yu-Gi-Oh! When they reprint a card, at that point it's already garbage and most people don't really need it or want it. Whereas in Magic, when they reprint something like we were talking Terror of the Peaks earlier, it's usually something that still people still really want and is still really desirable, and this is just making it easier for them to get that.
Yeah, and I also think like going back to my point of like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh keeps making new cards that end up taking over the meta, whereas like a card like Terror of the Peaks is still going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like they're reprinting a card and then it's just like, oh, now we're moving on to this new thing or whatever. And it's like, I guess it's technically standard, but standard sets rotate out, so that's the general format. Like that's what you sign up for.
Mm-hmm.
So I almost kind of wish that like Yu-Gi-Oh adopted like something like that, like a similar style, like for their tournaments or whatever. It was just like, oh, standard, and then there's like different variants of like gameplay or whatever. But
Yeah.
I don't think that'll ever happen at this point.
No.
Yeah. People will just continue to play the what do they call it, the goat version of the game, where it's like I don't remember what set it is, but it's literally just basically like old cards. I think it's like cards that like they use in like Duelist Kingdom in like season 1 of like Yu-Gi-Oh or something like that. And it's like that's there are people who literally just play that. I think it's for the OCG as well. Like it's kind of just that as well, which is mainly like Japanese.
I mean, I'd be cool with that. I think that sounds interesting as fuck, honestly.
Yeah, I know there's like it's not an official like version of the game or whatever, but it's like people run tournaments with it, and it's actually quite popular among especially older fans because it's like because it's just targeted toward them.
I could see why. It's kind of like WoW Classic, but for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah,
it's Yu-Gi-Oh Classic.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like, oh, like Blue Eyes is still the most broken thing ever, and like Dark Magician's still not is not half bad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing. I don't know. It's like people actually play like the Great Moth and stuff, which I find is hilarious. Real fast, because I was like, I wanted to like touch on this, but we kind of just went crazy with Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, whatever, in this one.
Yeah.
And like everything else. But did you see that Marvel unveiled like their like an Overwatch style game or whatever called the Marvel Rivals?
Yeah, I don't really know what to think of that. I think having another Marvel game is awesome. It being a hero shooter.
I find it interesting because I'll be curious to know actually how well it does, considering that like Overwatch has kind of hit an all-time low recently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like I'd be interested to see if it's actually like good in any way. Like, I mean, it looks fine from the trailers and everything like that. It's just it needs to do things. It needs to right the wrongs that Overwatch 2 did, basically. So we'll see. I don't know. People still play Marvel Snap, so maybe this will just like kind of exist in the realm.
I suppose so. Like, I should say I haven't seen much on it.
I just saw the announcement trailer and I go, I mean, the trailer doesn't look half bad. Like, you actually see like kind of like the varying gameplays between the different heroes or whatever. It's like obviously you can tell which hero is based off of which like Overwatch character and stuff, but at the same time it's like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that necessarily either.
I mean, like, the idea of having a multiplayer-focused superhero game, I think, is really awesome. But a hero shooter, like the hero stuff makes sense. You know, they're superheroes. It's the shooter thing that's getting me. Like, how is that going to work?
See, from what I gather from the trailer, is that some heroes have like ranged abilities, like obviously like Iron Man has his like he can like shoot like his like lasers or whatever, but there are some characters that are primarily like physical based, where it's like, you know, you have the Hulk or whatever, he can jump really far and punch really hard or whatever. I assume he's like a tank. And then there's like other ones where you can like you have like you have a kit between them or like other things like that. It actually doesn't look half bad. I'll say that much.
I mean, I'm not talking shit about it. I just think the idea is bizarre. Looking at the gameplay that I'm seeing right now, it actually does look decent.
Yeah. And it has this mechanic called like team up or whatever, where you can like team up with like a hero that's on your team. Might add for some like synergy playthrough or whatever. It's just like, but then you go, it's like, oh well, if that's the case, then it's just like people are gonna be like what having Overwatch. It's like, oh, play this character because this character's broken. You can't play whatever you wanted to play. So hopefully that doesn't necessarily become the case.
It probably will.
I know, but I'm gonna hope that that's not actually gonna be the case, and know that it will be unfounded hope.
The gameplay though, it just I'm not calling it a shooter. They're the ones calling it a shooter. Looking at this right now, the impression that I get isn't Overwatch. It's more what is that game called? It's the one where you play as the bunch of gods. It also got a sequel recently.
Oh,
Smite.
Smite, yeah.
Yeah. Look, from my perspective, it looks a lot more like Smite than it does Overwatch, aside from like UI design, which is basically a copy-paste of Overwatch.
Not wrong.
But, like I said, from the few things I've seen, it looks at least decently put together. So hopefully it's good.
It looks decently put together. It doesn't. It's like, yeah, obviously, like you can tell where like a lot of inspiration for some abilities for some of the characters have come from, but at the same time, it's like you sitting here going just like, it's not a bad thing. I don't think.
So, are you gonna give it a try when it comes out?
No, but I was just curious what you thought about it. I don't really care to play that type of game. Like maybe if they have like a free to play access or whatever, maybe I'll try it. But
I have to imagine that it's going to be free to play. But
I mean, I know there's like you can request beta access right now, but I assume that that's invite only at the moment.
I mean, yeah, it was the same thing with Overwatch. They're probably going to do a lot of kind of like Overwatch and like Valorant. They're going to do a beta, which is going to get the attention of tons of people, and then when it goes free to play, people are going to download it. Yeah, even on its Steam page, it's described as a free to play game.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. Good for them, basically.
I mean, like I said though, I feel like Overwatch 2 players need a win right now, and it's like if Marvel Rivals is a step in the right direction, then I'm all for it.
I mean, from what I hear, like, Overwatch 2 has been getting better. Obviously, they're abandoning the story missions. We've known that for a while, though.
Yeah, I feel like that turned off a lot of people when the official announcement came out, though.
It did. It certainly discouraged me from playing it, but...
Yeah.
Hell, I know. I barely played the original Overwatch.
Yeah, that's true as well. It's like I remember trying the open beta, and I was just like, I'm good. I don't really care to do that or anything. So
in terms of Marvel games, ultimately I want more games like Guardians of the Galaxy, that recent Guardians of the Galaxy game that they put out. I hear that game was really good. I say people should buy more games like that and they should make more games like that, but I didn't buy it, so I'm kind of a hypocrite.
Yeah.
But that's like, obviously we're going to want more single player focused games, but this is still really good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, you want the more story driven ones or whatever, and I think that there's definitely a way to it. But considering that the movies can't even figure out what the hell they want to do, I'm not surprised that the games have also just been kind of like, oh, let's just follow trends.
Let's just do stuff.
It's
clearly been working out for them, though. It's like,
yeah, that's true.
Marvel Snap has been doing really well. I heard Midnight Suns was also really good.
Just remember, the Marvel Avengers never happened.
That was their one fuck up. Marvel Avengers was fucking garbo.
Yeah, that was not great.
But hey, everything else, it's so confusing
you can't argue with results.
Yeah, it's so confusing that out of all the games they fucked up, they picked the a game that's just called Marvel's Avengers.
Yep.
It's like that's the game that you decided to drop the ball on.
Yeah,
Seriously?
well, I think it's more. I think I think it's partially like you gave the game to Square. Not saying Square can't make a live action game. I mean, clearly they made Final Fantasy 14 and know how to do it, but I feel like they didn't really know how to do it with Marvel characters.
You could have picked a better developer for something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, I feel like they all may have also learned a good chunk from that game as well.
I hope so.
I would hope so. That if they ever try making a live service like Marvel game, then hopefully it's better than that.
It came right at that point where basically everything was trying to become a live service, and now that trend is dying pretty freaking hard.
Is it though?
Yeah,
I feel like we always say that like the live action service is kind of dying. Yet it feels like the more AAA titles are being made that are like live service games than ever before.
But,
I've recently read that the Days Gone people or whatever like literally are hiring more people to make a live service game like for Sony, and I'm just sitting there going just like
because I'll let you finish, but
I don't know, that was pretty much it. And I just went I don't know why. Like, I feel like they should be working on something else, but I guess Sony has them working on other things.
Yeah, and did you notice that if you're a bitch like me and you're on Twitter too much, basically every reaction that I saw to that was just people rolling their eyes, being like, "Another fucking live service? Are you kidding me?" I feel like a lot of these developers saw the trend and like. Battle Royales, they were like, oh, we need to get in on this, and now we're coming to the point where those games are coming out, and they're just like, well, fuck, now we're stuck. Nobody wants these games anymore.
Well,
I think a lot of the push when it comes to publishers too is with these live services, they provide a pretty big consistent revenue stream, which is appealing when the cost of making video games is becoming so astronomically high. It's like you look at something like Marvel Rivals, and obviously we want games like, Spider-Man 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy. With Marvel Rivals, this is a game that's always going to be, it's obviously free, but it's always going to be pulling in money of some sort. Like, they're going to always be making money off cosmetics and whatever store and battle passes they create. It's like, it's a game that will generate money for them forever, and that's the big appeal when it comes to these live service games.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm not saying that like gamers aren't sick of live service games. They absolutely are.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the publishers, the developers, or whatever, probably more the publishers than it's developers, or whatever, the people that are funding these studios to make these or whatever, they were like, oh, we want more of these because it just makes us money. Even if it only lasts like 6 months, it still probably made us money in the long run.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just like, we'll sit here and just go, oh, this new live service game sucks or whatever, but ultimately probably still made the publisher more money. So, you know what? They don't really care. And that's super upsetting to know.
Yeah.
And that's why it's just like how everyone like, so when you're absolutely right that whenever people see, I was like, oh man, another live service game. It's like, yeah, that I'm not surprised that people have that reaction, but at the same time, it's like, but they still
from the
make a
publisher's
profit.
perspective. Yeah, I wasn't trying to imply that they're gonna stop making live service games. They're clearly not. But
yeah, I just wanted to just make sure that was what you were trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
So
basically, what I was trying to get at is, from the gamer's perspective, it's kind of becoming an oversaturated market.
Oh, absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nothing new. That's been like that for a while now.
Mm-hmm. I saw a post recently. I don't remember who it was from, but basically with this next Destiny expansion, it's basically, since it's the end of that game's story, it's basically going to spell the end of, well, obviously people are Well, I'm sorry, I'm sounding confusing, but a lot of people are thinking that's basically going to be the end of Destiny 2, because after that they're basically just going to move on to the next game, Marathon or whatever, that has weirdly nothing to do with the franchise Marathon.
Yeah.
Which is also going to be a hero shooter now,
Yeah.
I guess.
Hero shooters are back, I guess.
And it's crazy for as big and as the studio that basically started this whole, live service, trend basically with how popular and big Destiny 2 was. Their future basically depends on how well Marathon does now. Because from what I hear, a lot of people are dropping off of Destiny 2.
Well, I also feel like that was partially like the idea of like, getting acquired by Sony as well was just like, whether or not Marathon does well or not, we'll at least have a fallback within Sony, because it's just like if Sony all of a sudden just said, oh yeah, now we're shutting down Bungie because of how bad Marathon sales were, and I'm like, boy, that would be really bad considering all like the past of Bungie. in a nutshell, it's like you're basically discrediting 10 years of like Destiny and Destiny 2 like success then. So it's just like you would think that they would have the benefit of the doubt that even if Marathon doesn't quite pan out, that they'll probably still get the backing of another game.
You would hope so, but
and also they have expertise in the live service, which seems like they really want.
Yeah. It's just so discouraging, especially when you think of all these like studio closures that happened. Not even last year, just this year. We've already caught up to the amount that we have had last year. It's so depressing to see so many talented people losing their jobs. Well, I agree. It's not likely that Sony would shut Bungie down. The fact that some people are thinking that it's not an impossibility is fucking crazy to me.
My only thing about that though is that they spent how many millions of dollars to acquire Bungie, and then just like Destiny 2 was great and all, but like you stopped making that, and then we invested into Marathon, and it didn't really pan out, so it's just like sorry. It's like we kind of put like I think it was like what $120 million or something like that into Bungie or something like that. You'd think that they're gonna like it's like, hey, we realize this didn't quite work out, but we still paid a lot of money for you, so we want you to keep going.
Yeah.
Or like, I guess then that means like, maybe they'd sell them back to like Microsoft or whatever, and then they go, hey, Bungie, now that you're done making Destiny, you want to go make Halo again?
I mean, to be fair, a lot of former Halo devs are going back to make Halo.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people would want that, honestly.
Hey, you guys want to go make Halo again? Sure.
Fuck, why not?
Why the hell not?
That's the way you stopped caring about 343 there and said, hey, let's try somebody new.
Well, nah. I will give 343 this. They have been doing a great job with modern Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
They should have done a great job when the game came out.
I mean, that feels like 90% of all AAA games that have come out recently. It's like, it'd be nice that, you fixed the game now. Would it be nice if you could fix it before the fucking launch?
And hey, 343, hey, if you want to get Bungie so they can make your Helldivers 2 Halo game, go right ahead.
Hey.
And hey, if they're not going to do it, you can always do that. They don't have a patent on that game format. You can go and do that.
I mean, you can. How long do we realistically think that it will be until we get like another game like Helldivers?
A year.
Yeah, that's honestly what I said too. I was thinking in my head. I was like, it's probably anywhere from a year to year and a half.
It's been too popular for basically any studio to ignore. We're gonna see copycats.
Do you know what
we'll see them soon.
Random off-topic thing that I just thought of. But you know what I recently found out not that long ago? Is that Ubisoft apparently has a department within Ubisoft that literally just studies like trends in gaming, basically, and they try and figure out what the next big trend is.
Not surprised.
I was blown away by that when I heard that. I sat there going, just like, how does that work? How can you study trends and going like, it's just like, oh yeah, everyone likes like live service games or whatever, so we're gonna make a single player game as a result of that. We're gonna make the Prince of Persia game or something like that.
I bet it's not a huge team of people, but
I assume it's not. But
I'm willing to bet a good chunk of players in the AAA industry have a team of people dedicated to finding out what the trends are in the games industry.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not just Ubisoft. I'm sure there's other ones too, but like EA, I'm sure maybe.
It's crazy to think about, though.
Like I just don't know how do you research that? That's all I went in my head. Like I thought back to like I remember my I'm pretty sure I told this story once before, maybe not on this podcast, but I'm pretty sure I told you this story before. But it takes me back. It reminds me of my when I was in college. It was freshman composition 2 or whatever. It was my second semester. I had the biggest bitch of a professor. She was a bitch. I'm not even sugarcoating it whatsoever. She was just a bitch. That for our final research paper, I was already not doing well in the class or whatever because her lessons made no fucking sense and nobody gave a shit about them, like, or whatever. I don't know. It is dumb. But ultimately, our final research paper was supposed to be, you're supposed to research technology in ways that it wasn't intended. Or whatever. And I sat there going, okay, this is a research paper? And I went, yeah. Okay, where do we get research for this? And she goes, just use Google Scholar. You'll find some stuff about how tech is used in unintended ways. Because you're going to find research for that. No. If it's not intended for the thing, there's no fucking research for it. You know, but that's like that's my whole thing. It's like when it comes to this like researching trends thing, how can you research trends because the information isn't there? You can see what popular games are. Like I guarantee they're looking at like Helldivers or anything like that, trying to make their own game or whatever like that. But at the same time, it's like how if you wanted to try and be first on the scene of a new trend, clearly that's not the case for this. But at the same time, it's like, how could you predict that?
Well, I'm willing to bet it's just more or less an extension of like a social media manager of some sort.
Yeah.
It's just looking at, like, listening to podcasts, reading, comments from like influential gamers on Twitter, just trying to piece together what gamers are after nowadays is what I'm guessing that district is basically dedicated towards. I mean,
I guess
it kind of makes sense, especially when you consider like how long AAA game development costs. So like if you can predict like live service games are going to be super popular, you want to be able to jump on that right away. That way you're in it before the trend dies.
Yeah, then you don't end up like Skull and Bones.
Clearly, Ubisoft's not doing that.
I don't know. It baffled my brain to think like that's how it was, and it's like I don't think you're necessarily wrong in your take on that. Like I think you're probably absolutely right, but it's like
it's confusing to think about.
It's weird to me to think that there is a department with like, and probably not a big department like you said, that there is a department within Ubisoft, and I'm sure other big publishers or whatever, that's literally like that's their whole job. Like they clock in at 8:00, go sit on like Instagram or TikTok or Twitter for whatever, and like literally just look at what people want. And you'd say, "Oh yeah, they want these types of games," and I'm just like, wow. I feel like these are like jobs that like you bullshit your way into, and you somehow just go, "Well, I'm surprised I still have a job 6 months later."
Dude, kind of. I'm not sure if this is off topic. Ubisoft is the most confusing game developer to me because it's like I am not like most people. I don't hate Ubisoft. They have some of the most interesting ideas, and they have some of the worst ideas. It's like, on one hand, they're making Skull and Bones. On the other hand, a lot of their Assassin's Creed games have been... They've been okay.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like...
Some are better than others, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I also want to give them credit for making the latest Prince of Persia game. It's like, they really didn't have to do that. It didn't really seem like it was ever going to be super popular, but, you know, they went and did it.
They did it. And I'll give them the credit for that.
And have you heard any of the rumors about the upcoming Far Cry game?
No.
So I actually really like the Far Cry franchise. I've played through all of them. They're mindless games and they're stupid, but I kind of like that about them.
Yeah.
The next Far Cry game, they're doing something very bizarre and new for open world games. There's going to be a time limit.
Oh, I did hear about that, yeah.
Which is weird to think about, right? When you think of Ubisoft and their open world games, you think about all these like bullshit side quests, do all these like, you know, get through all these dumb fortresses or take down X number of targets or collect whatever treasures or whatever. To them being like, oh yeah, not only is this not going to take hundreds of thousands of hours, you have a certain period of time that you need to finish the game by. It's like, bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that works out for them.
Do you know, it's really funny because that's not the first time I've heard of this mechanic being used as well. It's not, because this reminds me of Final Fantasy 13 Lightning's Return, because that's the whole point of the game, is that you're racing against the clock to extend the time of the world to the 13th day. If you get to the 13th day, you get the actual ending of the game. It's not that hard to get the 13th ending. You just got to do the main stories and you get there. And then obviously there's like sides people you have to save or whatever. But it's like, the whole idea is that you can't spend forever, you know, fighting or whatever, because you literally are on a time clock. It's not the most harsh time clock in the world, but you are on a time clock.
I mean, to be completely fair to Ubisoft too, though, that game came out back like when the Xbox 360 was still popular.
It did.
And it's clearly a very new thing for them. So, you know, they're trying new stuff. I just hope they never make Skull and Bones again.
Jeez, Lightning's Return came out in 2015. Oh,
wow.
It's almost 10 years old. Somehow I keep sneaking in talking about Final Fantasy 13 and how much I love it.
It's completely fine. I was cleaning through, so I reorganized a lot of my games recently, and I found a bunch of stuff that I completely forgot I had. Apparently, I own a copy of Lightning's Return.
Oh, hell yeah.
I didn't think that I did.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, that's cool. Something else recently. I've been really enjoying Shogun, and I've been consuming a bunch of like old samurai-related content. So I've just been thinking, oh, I should really go back and try playing Ghost of Tsushima. I need to pick up a copy of that, though. And it's like, I don't know if I want to spend $50 on that right now. And I was going through my games. It's like, oh, I already have the director's cut. That's neat. I wonder when I bought that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's fair. Did you notice how many different I don't even know feudal Japan samurai games are coming out right now, or I guess Shogun-esque games?
I think that because people are remembering just how awesome they are.
I feel like Ghost of Tsushima was the thing that really pushed it.
It was the progenitor of that shit, definitely.
Yeah.
Because now we have... did Sekiro come after that, or was that before?
You know, I think it was after.
Let's see. When did Ghost of Tsushima come out?
Let's see. Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice was back in 2019. Pretty sure Ghost of Tsushima was later than that.
Ghost of Tsushima was
2020.
2020.
Yeah. So it was a little later.
Mm-hmm. So I guess you could kind of put that down to Sekiro, but at the exact same time,
I think it was probably both.
The people, I think it was both, because the people making Ghost of Tsushima had no idea Sekiro was going to exist, and kind of vice versa.
Yeah.
But you're right. We have Rise of the Ronin now. We've been having quite a few 2D samurai games, and I think there's another one coming, isn't there? There's the Assassin's Creed one that I know of.
Yeah, I don't remember what they all are, but I just know there's like 4 or 5 coming out like this year, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, okay.
It was like a Dragon Ishin, which I heard was really good. All the Yakuza games are really good, though.
It's true. It's kind of like we're basically like, this is like the feudal Japan like trend or whatever. It's like,
I know, I love it.
It's great
so much.
But like, it's just like, and it's like, before this, I always thought like, even like years past, it's like, I remember talking about like, I think it was like a Game Awards, or maybe it was like a Summer Games Fest or something like that. It was like literally like, it felt like every game was like space or whatever, and I 100% attributed that to the announcement of Starfield back then. It was just like, it's like like Starfield, and everyone was like so excited for like a space Fallout game or whatever, and then everyone tried to go, space is the next big thing or whatever, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, the amount of just like stuff that just copies the, not like the idea, but it's just like the general story of that, I guess. I don't know, like feel of it, like space game. I don't know, genre. That's what I'm trying to say. And
now we're on feudal Japan stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm much happier with this.
I was like, did I also see earlier today that apparently GTA is falling behind schedule as well? Like, I don't know if they're probably just rumors, but like, is that like, I heard that GTA 6 was going that. I mean, obviously that was also partially because I think that like, didn't like Rockstar announce that they want everyone back in like office like right now or whatever, rather than working remote?
I think so.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the, like, people are just theorizing. It's just like, oh, they're falling behind because they're asking everyone to come back to office. So it's more likely just rumors rather than anything else.
I know I'm very much in the minority when I say this, but who gives I don't give a fuck about Grand Theft Auto. So if it comes later, it's whatever.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I know that game has an extremely dedicated fan base of people that buy and play all of those games. And I remember how extremely popular GTA 5 was. I remember I played that game for a little while. Never finished it. Never have a desire to go back. I'm sorry to anybody who watches who listens to this podcast that loves GTA. It's a great series. Have never gotten into it. Probably never will.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's kind of got their own games or whatever. It's just like, just because you don't like it doesn't mean that other people don't love it. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
I acknowledge that.
Yeah, I acknowledge that I'm like not the biggest of that thing or whatever. I would say the same thing about what was it? The new God of War. It was like the 2018 God of War and the God of War Ragnarok or whatever. I was like, I just couldn't get into them. Like, I was all in on the story, but overall, I was like, I just wasn't really having fun with them or whatever. So I just said, all right, I'm just going to watch the stories. And that's what I did.
Which is completely fair.
I did the same thing with Witcher 3. Like, it's not that I despised Witcher 3. It's just that I didn't find it fun. The story I thought was fantastic. And that was like, that was the whole, again, I just watched it rather than playing it myself. I don't know. It's just too repetitive, too boring. I say that, no, but I'll still sit here and play like a Persona game for 100+ hours when all you're doing is just like grinding out like Tartarus or Mementos or whatever.
I mean, that's Persona though. That's different.
Yeah, it's a different gameplay style or whatever. JRPGs are their own sort of thing. So I always find myself like feel like I'm like almost a hypocrite for repetitive gameplay, but then talk about how I'll sit here and just fight random enemies over and over and over and over in JRPGs.
No, it's just a different style of game that it basically comes down to, because I guarantee like there are some people that are that would think, oh, what you guys don't like Grand Theft Auto. What's wrong with you? That's basically all I play. But then we say like, oh, we spend hundreds of hours on Persona. It's like, you do what now? You play that, spend that much time on Persona? I hated that game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
everyone's got their own games they like and dislike.
It's just a difference of preference.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Not everyone is expected to like every game. That's how it is.
One of the great things about video games, there's something there for everybody.
There's so many and so many different genres that I guarantee you there's going to be something you like. There's one thing I do want to say real fast. Just before we end, I saw that there was a game that came out that I just want to highlight because I've been doing this for the past couple weeks or whatever that recently came out that I remember trying. It was that it was like the Kadaiman, the Hyper Auto Battlers or whatever. It's basically like, Super Auto Pets. Mm-hmm. It's the same makers of that. I remember playing the demo of this a while back or whatever, and it's basically just like Pokemon with like Slay the Spire-esque like kind of roguelike style or whatever. And it's like it came out not that long ago. It's still like an early access or whatever. It's only like about $9 right now because it's like 10% off.
Nice.
It's like go check it out because it was really cool, and I've been meaning to actually get it and check it out and play it again.
Awesome. I'm willing to bet that this game is going to be really good because strangely Super Auto Pets is really good.
Strangely, the simplicity of Super Auto Pets is its fun style or whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but anyway, thank y'all so much for listening to the ramblings. The almost 2 hours of rambling. I didn't realize we were that long until I looked over at my thing and went, holy fuck, we're about 2 hours. It probably won't be 2 hours, but
we came into this with no plan. Thought we were going to have nothing to talk about.
100% no plan. I didn't have much of anything to talk about, and here we are
at almost the 2 hour mark.
Yep. So yeah,
fucking crazy.
Yeah, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitch or whatever. Alex over at his Twitch account. Tom Cruise Can't Lose and everything like that. The Gamer 124 for me or whatever. It's all linked in the show description below or in the YouTube description, whether or not you're watching on YouTube or whatever. But yeah, be sure to see y'all next week. Bye-bye.